I decided to do my final presentation on an organization I've followed for years since my father introduced them to me back in 2005. This organization is called the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. It's an advanced research division off of Lockheed that operates separate from the company and is tasked with doing highly classified CIA and Air Force projects. And these are some of the stories that they have done over the years that have been declassified, most of which was done in the last year, so that allowed me to do the project, allowed me to do this presentation. So the term Skunk Works is actually now a business term. It literally represents any research division of any company. All the big guys have it. Google has Google X, Boeing has the Phantom Works. I'm not sure what BAE Systems calls theirs, but everyone's got one. They do all the highly specialized projects and research. That is the kind of stuff that you wouldn't normally see any business value immediately, but down the road it will really pay out. And the term itself actually originated from this organization, the Lockheed Martin Advanced Development Group. So it was officially founded in 1943 by a guy named Clarence Kelly Johnson. This was during the Second World War, in which case the first plane they produced was the P-38, a more maneuverable aircraft than the P-51 Mustang, which won the Second World War, was credit to it. Unfortunately, Lockheed was just getting started, so it didn't really get into mass production, but this plane did prove to be an outstanding fighter jet, which allowed the Air Force to contract the next plane out, the P-80, America's first jet-powered fighter jet, which did not see combat in World War II, but did see combat in the Korean War. And then after that, they developed the F-4 Starfighter, which is a Mach 2 capable aircraft that dominated the skies over the Korean island. Now, the notable director is Clarence Kelly Johnson. This guy, I noticed that there was a lot, when I was looking him up and doing the extensive research, a lot of people actually compared Steve Jobs to him. Kelly Johnson was around first. He is a very ill-tempered man, very smart, but extremely ill-tempered. He has a tendency to fire people on the spot if he didn't like them or weren't doing the job correctly. This is one of the few people in the entire world who can yell in a 5-star general space, "You don't know shit," and get away with it. So he's a little ill-tempered. And he was ultimately succeeded by Ben Rich, who will take over, but at this point Ben Rich was just a thermodynamics specialist for the Starfighter. But the term Skunk Works actually came from where Lockheed put this little group that they created, the Advanced Research Group. They put it next to a plastics factory at the time, and this is the 50s, so there was no environmental laws whatsoever. Created obnoxious fumes, so it smelled horrible. And one of the engineers jokingly came in one day with a gas mask and answered the phone, Lockheed Skunk Works, and thus the term eventually stuck with the organization. And as it turned out, there is no Russian translation for Skunk Works, so it was pretty easy for the CIA to follow any intelligence that the Russians were gathering on this. So it proved to be really useful. And they did these projects, but the real story begins with their next project. And that brings us to the Iron Curtain.